One of my favorite kinds of horror films are anthology collections, where you get to see a lot of short horror films. So we need to talk about the Mortuary Collection. Welcome to the Film Trap Podcast. I am Chris Gore. Hope you're having a good day today. It is my favorite month of the year. It is October. Halloween is coming up. We're all going to be trick-or-treating in our cars or whatever we're doing, or going to haunted places in our cars. And we're doing a socially distanced Halloween, but that should not prevent you from seeing all the cool horror films that they save up to release in October. And we need to talk to the filmmakers behind the Mortuary Collection, writer-director Ryan Spindell, and actor Barak Hardley. Barak Hardley, how are you guys doing? You won,
man. Excited.
You won. We're here. Yes, exactly. We were just talking before about how, Barak, you are like a 3-time Award This winner at our Award This show that happened last February. You won the coveted. We don't have a name for our award, but this is what it is. We're actually going to do this year. We're going to actually do these really like fancy, cool sculptures. But for your film Spell.
Yeah, man, that was so fun being there. We showed up. We're like, let's go to this festival. And we showed up thinking it was not going to be a huge deal. And then we got there and like everybody's wearing suits and tuxes. We have sweatshirts on. We're like, oh no.
And you got high. Didn't you guys get like totally like, didn't you smoke out like before?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could tell. Your speech somehow went viral. Tim Heidecker like retweeted it and said, this is what it's like to make art.
Yeah, Phil Lord like followed me after that.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And then I was like, oh, I can only use this connection one time to like pitch an idea. Yeah. And I think I pitched an idea and there's just like no response.
Well, I was going to ask you, I literally got this press release as we're recording this. Paramount Pictures is releasing a movie called Spell. And look at this.
What?
Yeah, this just was announced, Spell. I'm looking at the press release on my phone and I'm like, Spell. And I thought, oh, well, maybe your movie got like picked up for wider distribution, whatever. It's like, no, it's just a movie in 2020 called Spell. Look at that.
As long as somebody out there watches a movie named Spell, that's good enough for me at this point.
Well, if they see the trailer for that movie and then they click on your movie, it's a win.
Yeah, win-win.
Yeah.
Did that say Chris Hardwick on the cover?
No, no. What does it say? I don't know what it says. It's Omari Hardwick.
Okay. Hardwick? They're brothers.
I don't know who that is, but it looks like some foreign horror film. They just sort of slapped the name on it. I don't know what's going on. Crazy. I know at some point we'll talk about the Mortuary Collection in this. But Ryan Spindell, I have to like compliment you because I don't know if you had anything to do with the press release that went out about Mortuary Collection. Because
I don't know. I don't think.
Okay, you are under the assumption that no one reads these press releases, especially bios. And I read your bio. Can I just quote from your bio from this press release?
Maybe.
Okay. Before we get into about the director. Ryan Spindell is a Los Angeles-based writer, director, and artist who believes that if he works really hard and is nice to people, good things will happen to him. First of all, bullshit. We all know nothing like that ever happened to him. And then it says, this is all for the press. But in reality, what he needs to do is get a neck tattoo and start yelling at people because that's the only way anyone can make it in this industry. How you snuck that into the official press release? Did they wait? So they must have. You wrote that, obviously.
I did. I wrote that for Fantastic Fest like almost a year ago today, but I didn't realize it had creeped back into official rotation. That's amazing.
It's pretty good.
True.
Well, I have to compliment you because I read these dumb press releases all the time, and it's the same sort of people giving a hand job to themselves. Which I guess would be masturbation.
That's
think about that. If you give yourself a hand, okay, cool. But I mean, like they're just bullshit. And yours made it in there. I thought that was great. It was just like it made me pay attention.
I mean, I think there's some truth to it, though. I remember when I'm like naturally very excited of the person, and I would like go into rooms for a long time, and we'd start talking about ideas, and I would just almost be like leaning forward in my chair, excitedly talking, and I could see that the executives would kind of be like, whoa, 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 and I kind of always thought that if I just had a neck tattoo and just quietly sat in the chair and didn't say anything, they'd be like, there's something going on here. We need to hire this guy. And so that's sort of a thing that I've actually thought of for a long time.
You should do it during this whole podcast.
Just get that
right.
Be that guy.
Yeah, be that guy. I could cut off the complete beginning of this, and then you could just like, yeah, there you go. Oh man,
I can't do it.
Ryan's terrifying to work with. You gotta try it.
Well, what was really terrifying was, first of all, when upon first trying to watch Mortuary Collection, I made the mistake of trying to eat while I was watching the film. And there is far more gore than I had expected. I knew that there would be some bloody, gross stuff. I didn't realize it would go where it was going to go. And before we were going to record this interview, Ryan, you emailed me. You're like, dude, you haven't finished watching the movie. And it's like, no, I know I'm going to watch it before we talk. I promise I will. I had like 20 minutes left to go, but I had to like stop watching it because I was getting so grossed out, which I guess that's a testament to the power of your filmmaking.
Sure. I mean, I do remember that, Creepshow was a really pivotal film for me growing up. And I didn't watch horror films in general. But for some reason, Creepshow would always win me over because it sort of would open with this Saturday morning style animation, and that would always trick my child brain into thinking, "Oh yeah, this is a kids movie, right? I can watch this." And so it like sneaked up on me. So by the time we got sort of into the second or third segment, and it was in sort of really adult themed horror, I had sort of slipped into a horror movie without even noticing I was there. And so I think that was kind of the intention. Whether it was conscious or not, when I was writing this, I was like, I want to write something that sort of puts people at ease. It's sort of like a haunted mansion style whimsical fairy tale in the beginning that slowly kind of amps up the tone and the shocks as it sort of progresses. I hadn't thought about eating, so that's an interesting twist on the whole thing.
Well, I know Barak Hardley is here right now, but before we talk about his segments in the film, so I noticed you play two people in it, right? Yeah. There's you almost like you play a part and then you do a cameo.
Yeah, there's about a year and how many years between the movie and the part of that was we shot a short that was like a long time ago,
2015.
And then Ryan wrote a much bigger role for me for the real movie. Ryan can tell you how that came to be.
I mean, I wrote a role for Barak in the short that we made as a proof of concept for it. He had one word, and he gave me grief for about 2 years after the fact for only having one word. And then
he had one word. He gave me one word.
He didn't even watch the movie. We were like winning all these festivals. He had a link just sitting in his inbox for like 2 years, and he wouldn't watch it. And finally, we were making the feature, and I was like, "Hey, I had a great time working with you, and that one word really stood out. So, what do you think about doing a bigger role?" And only then did he finally watch the short, and then he called me right back, and he's like, "Oh yeah, this is cool. Let's do this. It's cool."
I got excited because when your friends ask you to do stuff, you're like, "Okay, this will be okay at best." And then I accidentally discovered that I have a really talented friend who made something cool. I was like, "Oh, I get to be in this now."
Well, I want to talk about before we talk about your segments, Barak. I want to talk about Clancy Brown. He's listed as a producer on this. He's an iconic actor that that's been in a million movies. He really goes for it in this film. Like, I mean, he really was into it. You can tell. Like, it's not. I mean, he's sort of the sort of bookends that kind of like comes in between each segment, the sort of overall story that's being told in between the anthology segments. But he's a huge part of this movie. Getting him involved and then getting him to like, he's not just like doing a cameo or like, I'm sure it definitely was not shot in one day. Like it's makeup effects and like, I mean, like, he had some definitely more involvement than just like, okay, I'm going to come in for a day and do a cameo.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think this is having proof of concept. So we made a short called in 2015. And, I think I was still holding on to this idea that if you could make a short, show people what you can do, you can get a feature very easy. It turns out that's just not the case anymore.
Right.
And we did manage to find independent financing for this through Allison Friedman, one of our producers. But I remember thinking, like, I teach like a screenwriting class at a college level, and I was sort of telling the kids, I was like, I don't know if you should make a short anymore because it doesn't really seem to do anything. I think shorts are a dime a dozen. But I was proven wrong once we started getting into production, because what we found out is that while it didn't have a lot of impact on an industry level, it did sort of have a ton of impact with artists and creatives who we wanted to get involved in the project, like people like ADI, our special effects team, actors like Clancy, Jacob Elordi, all these different people that, we could send them a script. It was a kind of a funky, quirky script, as you know, and it would have been easy for people to sort of just be like, I don't get this, and throw it away. But we had the short. And ultimately, the short was the thing that went to Clancy, and that was the thing that got him the most excited. So he was like one of my first choices. I've been a huge fan of him forever. He's like that guy that everybody knows, whether you know his name or not. You know him, you've seen him. And I was like, I want this sort of presence that's going to kind of disappear inside the makeup, but still have, leave his mark. And so when I got the call that he was interested, they were like, well, you have to go to a diner to talk to him about the movie. And I was like, oh, is he interested? And they're like, well, he's going to decide after he meets you. So I was like, oh shit, I'm going to meet like one of my heroes. And the entire thing is sort of based on how personable I am, I guess, in this meeting. And so I went to a diner in North Hollywood, and I met him, and he's like 7 feet tall. His hands are huge. Like, just shaking his hand was the first thing I noticed. His hand is like 3 times the size of mine. And he has the voice and this presence. And I'm sitting in this diner, and within like 3 sentences, we knew we were sort of, we were both geeks from the old school ways, and we just sort of geeked out about science fiction. He loves genre. He's a huge reader, and he's just the best guy. And so having him come on board with the project not only gave us clout, as a project as a whole and within the genre community, but it also sort of showed all the different collaborators that we were working with that we had someone really cool. And he was just amazing on set, just working with people. Barak didn't get to work with him. I don't think you ever know. Barak was never in any of the scenes with him, which is a shame, because I think those two would have been awesome to see on screen together. But he was really, this guy's worked with the best directors in the world, and he had no trailer, he had no frills. We were in a house, cramped house. He was in makeup for 2 hours every day. That's just getting ready, probably another hour getting out. And he was the nicest guy, and he just kept everybody calm. He took all the newer actors in, and he sort of helped them feel comfortable. He was, I think everybody kind of gives you the bullshit, like, they were great to work with, but he genuinely was a real peach.
Well, shorts might not be worth a dime, but 4 shorts are worth 40 cents. I think it's sort of a lesson with it. I agree with you, though. I feel like now it might even be better to just make like a feature, like a 70-minute feature. Oh, yeah. Take it on the festival circuit. I mean, if a festival circuit even exists after this. I mean, I don't know if movie theaters are going to exist after the year 2020. I mean, this is a weird, it's weird, but I think that this is going to be a boon for indie film. I think smaller films, I'm not sure we'll see a $1 billion movie at the box office for the next 5 years. I think that this is how dramatically the plane has shifted. But what it's done is it's shifted in favor of indie filmmakers and original works that don't have the pressure to make, if you make a Marvel movie or a Star Wars movie, it has to make $1 billion. And if it doesn't, it's considered a failure, right? Like, but an indie movie can make 10 cents and it's like, well, it was released, it came out. I'm talking about Spell. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
we released too soon. We should have waited for the world to find it.
Could have opened in drive-ins, but I do think drive-in movie theaters are coming out. I've been going to the drive-in like every week. I'm close to 3 drive-ins where I live in Pasadena.
Amazing.
And I love it, man. The drive-ins are the best. You can text during the movie. You can talk during the movie. You can bring an adult beverage. I notice some people have the weed because I notice the smell.
I'm listening. What? Go on. Where is this?
You can definitely smoke weed during you couldn't do that in a movie theater.
True.
I heard it's really hard to get your indie film now into a drive-in theater.
Oh, really?
Because it's just everybody's trying to do it.
Yeah, well, I've seen that a lot of, like, IFC Midnight has released almost all of their stuff at drive-ins, and those movies are like perfect for the drive-in. I think like horror movies are made for the drive-in, right?
Yeah,
I mean, this
yeah.
is the month you see horror, and Mortuary Collection would perfectly fit into that. So yeah, I don't know. Are you releasing in drive-ins? I usually ask this before, but like when is the movie coming out and stuff, just so we get that out of the way.
Oh, sure. The movie comes out on Shudder October 15th, which is
perfect.
cool. Yeah. It's a great lineup this year too, so I'm really excited. IFC was ahead of the game on the drive-in releasing, and I think that they really crushed it and set a precedent. And I think you're right. Everyone was scrambling. We tried for a long time because people kept. I was sort of like kind of letting it go, and people just kept hitting me up, and they're like, "Why isn't the Mortuary Collection in drive-ins? It's a perfect drive-in movie. Put it in drive-ins." And so me and my producing partner Justin Ross, him in particular, really sort of tripled down and tried to get into drive-ins, and we talked to a bunch of different people, and it was tough. And it wasn't even just a competition thing. It was like drive-ins, they weren't ready, I don't think, to adjust to this current climate. So they don't really know what to do with sort of indie movies, and there's just not a structure in place, I think. So that's where IFC, like I'm envious of those guys, because they were so smart about it, and I think everybody behind the scenes there deserves a high five.
Well, drive-ins were kind of like, it's almost like drive-ins couldn't get laid, and now everybody wants to fuck drive-ins.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
That's my hope, is that one day I'll become a drive-in. I'll be a drive-in guy. I'll really come into my own.
Well, Barak, I would say for your segment, first of all, you do this hilarious cameo that I don't want to ruin, but so great. Is you're so mugging for I'm not even looking at the other guy who does all the talking. I think you have one word, I think, is all you say, is one word. But you're mugging the whole time. It reminds me of an old friend of mine.
Hold on, I'm acting.
Right. Yeah,
I don't know what you're talking about, mugging for the camera.
Okay, so an old friend of mine from Michigan, Scott Spiegel, who's part of the whole Sam Raimi group of friends. He's been in like every Sam Raimi movie, but every time, and he would tell me this, if you look at Scott Spiegel in like Army of Darkness or like any movie that he has a bit part in, he's always holding his sword differently than someone else, or he's like doing something so you can spot that it's him. And I feel like you were doing that like all over the place in your little bit part in the one thing. So
I'm just trying to like learn from Matt Berry. I've been watching so much Matt Berry lately, and everything he does is like that. Like, he says the lines raw or weird every time. It's the most watchable thing I've ever seen.
Oh man! But so your segment, I would, if you are in the market to date, I would not show this movie because the story, what happens with your character, and I don't want to spoil any of the segments. It's freaking creepy, and it's also one of the gorier segments. I think it's when I turned off the movie. Actually, I think that's
right. It's true.
It is. Yeah. You probably know exactly when I turned it off, Ryan. Like, I'm eating. Why am I watching this? I'm going to throw up.
I didn't have the whole script, I think, when we went to shoot, or there's a good chance I didn't read the whole shoot.
Yeah,
just give me my
sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. But so I didn't realize like being like so many different stories in anthology. Like, I didn't realize like, oh, my scene is really different than everybody else's, and everybody's is different than everybody else's. But like, oh, this one is like, oh, dramatic. And so when you get asked to be part of a horror film, you go like, oh, okay, that'll be fun. But shooting this was like we went to some really dark places, and then it was cool working with Ryan, and then knowing Ryan for so long, I had the freedom to feel like I could say like, this feels weird if I say this line. Why wouldn't he just be freaked out in the situation? And we talk it over and then end up taking it in a new direction. And I think like, God, it was so fun to be in, and then to watch the scene now in the middle of this movie with its own tone, but still fitting into this greater picture, man. I'm stoked to be a part of it. It's a good movie. You guys got to watch this movie. It's so good.
It's interesting
Even the
too.
Stuff
like,
without me is good.
Right.
It's interesting, but I mean, I think it's a testament to Barak as an actor, who, I mean, we've been friends for a long time, and we've written stuff together too. So I know that he can write, and I know he's a filmmaker as well. But I remember there was one morning where we had sort of changed some of the scenes because we were sort of, the scenes were kind of evolving with the characters, and me and Barak and Mike Nelson, the guy who plays the doctor, we'd all kind of changed something. And I just woke up in the middle of the night one night and I was like, oh shit, the scene we're shooting tomorrow is totally broke. It doesn't make any sense. And so I showed up in the morning, and me and Mike and Barak just sat down, and we basically in the moment rewrote the entire scene, the pivotal scene where he gets the pills, which was like one of the most important scenes in the whole movie. And we're really sort of flying by the seat of our pants on that. But that's where having an actor like Barak comes in handy, because it's somebody who's sort of looking at it from a filmmaker standpoint and can sort of, you know, basically cover your ass when you like drop the ball as a director.
Yeah, I was shocked at like Ryan. I haven't told you this. Ryan, your casting is really good, man. Everybody's great.
Thank
You're
you.
really good at casting, dude.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You are really good. Well, the one segment that I think is the one that takes place in the 60s at the frat house, and that I mean, the whole cast in that is just like, I love the one nerdy guy. I kind of feel like that was me in college. I was that guy. I was the nerd guy. I didn't quite survive college, but you know what?
Chris, were you a virgin in college, like that character?
I know, but barely. I was barely not. So
I was.
Well, you know what this would be perfect for? It's on Shudder. You know what we should do? Let's do a watch party for this movie. Do you know what those are?
I don't know. I've never seen one.
So we do this thing on Fridays on a live stream where we watch your movie, and then we get members of the cast together, and we all watch the movie at the same time, and you comment on it live.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty sure we can get Barak, but if you could get some other members of the cast, we can have like up to 10 people all watch the movie on Shudder, and we can just tell people to sign up for Shudder and then cancel before, you know, the trial is up.
I mean, honestly, that would have been my approach a year ago, but I actually think because of the pandemic and so many amazing movies are now going to Shudder, that it's like, it actually makes so much sense to subscribe without being sort of, because they're just releasing cool stuff like every day. I love it.
No, there's too much, and there's like a lot of things I find out like, oh well, that's on Shudder, another service I have to sign up for. That and Trauma. Trauma has a one now called Trauma Now.
Really?
Yeah, Trauma Now. It's like $5 a month. There's like 1,000, and they not only have like 1,000 movies on there, they have all the extras for those movies.
Oh, I love that.
One of the best I recommend, the commentary track from Citizen Toxie, where basically Lloyd Kaufman just lies about everything. He said, there's Brad Pitt in the background of that scene. I'm like, if you just didn't know and you were just listening to this, you'd think, what the hell is going on? Anyways, I'm putting you on the spot during this podcast right now. Can we do a watch party? I'll email you and we'll do it. It's like a perfect movie, and we get a couple thousand people watch it, so it'll be fun. We all watch the movie together, and then it's like a DVD commentary.
Yeah, that sounds like a blast.
Yeah, let's see.
As long as nobody talks while my character's talking, right? It's the only way that makes sense to me.
Well, Barak, now that I got y'all put you on the spot, you got to come back and do something for Award This next year. I feel like you have to be a presenter, right? If you're not nominated.
Oh yeah.
Okay, good. Because we are going to do it.
I'm
hoping by the time we do Award This, it's gonna there'll already be a vaccine and everything will be over. So
I will only do it if you fix Spell's score.
Yes,
on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Film Threats, just so everybody knows. Film Threats review of Spell was like, it's great. It's really moving. We really enjoyed it. 2 stars. Like, what? And it ended up giving us a bad Rotten Tomato score.
Oh my god!
And I called Chris out on this last time because I'm a dickhead.
I didn't review it on the site. I do the podcast, right? So, and my personal taste doesn't always match the personal taste of our writers. But yeah, I'll have to fire that guy.
Yeah.
That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, just fire him. But you're going to be back for Award This, and Ryan and Barak, we're going to do a watch party now for the Mortuary Collection, which is going to force people to download Shudder and for the trial, right? Because all of these have like a trial that's like usually like a couple days, at least 3 days, at least a day to see if you like it. And then of course I'll just forget it. And then I'm going to like, end up getting charged for a month and just, all right.
Oh, that's going to happen with everybody's Disney Plus. Like, why am I still paying for this? I've watched everything.
Yeah, Disney Plus, and then they want $30 more for more movies. That's for Mulan. Yeah, not a fan of that. But so back to this, because I know we got to wrap it up. What are your final thoughts on this? And I know you're going to offer more thoughts when we do. And I'm inviting everyone. You're listening to this or you're watching this on YouTube. Come to the Mortuary Collection watch party. It'll be on the Film Threat YouTube channel and Facebook and all that stuff. And just follow Film Threat on social media to get the details. And I know that you could do commentary, Barak, because I watched your Instagram commentary for Spell. That was hysterical.
Thanks, man. I didn't think anybody was watching that.
Oh my God, it was great. You did a multiple night where you'd watch like 20 minutes of the movie and then comment on it, but you were stoned out of your gourd.
Hey, to be fair, I was also pretty drunk.
Right.
So...
True, but so we're going to get like a live commentary track now for the Mortuary Collection, and we're going to get Clancy Brown will probably be on the commentary.
Boy, you're just you sprung this idea, and now Clancy's involved. Yeah,
Clancy's involved, and the other actors. I'm pressuring Ryan to put this together. I want people to see the movie because it's funny. It sort of flips tropes in horror, which I love, especially the frat house one. I thought, with the exception of Barak's segment, that was one of my favorites. So, but the thing about anthology horror, and this, like Ryan, you talked about Creepshow at the top. Like it's like if there's one where you're like, I'm really not into this one, and then it's over, and then you're on to the next one. But then there's this other thread happening with Clancy's character. Which I think pays. I don't want to say anything.
Right.
Come to the watch party.
Yeah. No. I think that's cool that you're mentioning that, because I think one of the things that we thought a lot about when we were making this movie is, we're making this movie for horror fans, of course, but horror fans will always show up. Horror fans love horror. I'm one. I do it. But one of the things we really talked about in the making of this was like, we want this to be sort of like a campfire experience. That's what we love about anthologies, like sort of gather around, listen to a story. And to that end, I think it's something that I think a lot of non-horror fans can also get into. I think that's what we're trying to do, is reach out to the people who are like, I don't really like horror, and sort of kind of bring them in and say, hey, maybe check this out. It's a little different than what you're used to.
Well, it's a lot of horror that people can relate to, like the possibility of getting an STD. That's a real life horror.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
I wouldn't know, but Eric?
Right. What else are we talking about?
But yeah, so you're going to tell us a lot more at the watch party. You're going to be providing live commentary. Trying to plug this because I want people to. But wait, before we have to plug our sponsor. I want to thank our. I would not be able to do this.
Hell yeah! It's sponsor time, man. Do not fast forward. This is why I'm here.
This is okay. Go to storyblocks.com/filmthreat. It's resources for filmmakers. If there's a million plus stock footage clips that you could use, there's cleared music, cleared effects.
Hell yeah.
Go to storyblocks.com/
Hell yes.
Interesting fact, I actually use Storyblocks in the Mortuary Collection.
Oh, you're kidding.
No, seriously.
Okay, well then see, there you go. This is an example of, so you can tell us about that during the watch party.
Is Storyblocks going to sponsor the watch party?
They are now.
Nice.
Sponsored by Storyblocks.
Yes. Well, I used them, and then we're like suddenly like I just got to ask them if they would sponsor the podcast, and so here we're doing it. Okay, gentlemen, the movie is The Mortuary Collection. It's on Shudder. It comes out October 16th.
15th.
15th, October 15th. We'll do which is what? Is that a Thursday?
That's a good question. I don't know.
All right, it's whatever day it is. It's you know what? It's something o'clock on a Blur's day.
It's halfway to Halloween.
Yeah, it's during Halloween month, 31 Days of Horror. But I want to thank you guys for being on the Film Threat podcast, and I want to thank Storyblocks. And it's awesome talking to you. We're gonna talk again at the watch party because it's happening.
Cool.
It's happening.
All right.
Stoked.
Cool. All right.
Thanks for having us, Chris, man.
Okay,
I'm glad you liked the movie.
It won't be the last time.
Cool.